introduction of the new head of operations to the community, and the handing over of Mr. Magat to the new head of operations. So your support and the introduction of the new DCC to the new sub-county, namely Fafi sub-county in Fafi constituency. So to UNHCR outgoing head of operations, we tell you thank you so much for your efforts, for the service. We will miss you for many things. We'll miss you for the arguments, for the long debates, for the protracted issues. These are the issues we'll miss about you. But then we also thank you for the little support you've rendered to us during your presence here in Alinjogur. We look forward to having the same kind of working relationship and cooperation with Mr. Gee, the incoming head of operations. He has been here before, I think, like we have been told already. And he is not new to this context, this new refugee, this whole Dadaab refugee setting, and that he knows the challenges of the host community in Fafi constituency. We are people who have been suffering because of hosting refugees for more than 30 years in such an ecologically fragile environment for the longest time. That's why you're told the Dadaab refugee camp complex, which includes Hagadera, Ifo, and Dagahle, is the biggest refugee camp in the world. It's the single smallest unit where you can hold so many people within a small geographical area. And so the impact within the immediate surroundings is one that you can see. The livelihoods of these communities have been lost because refugees are reliant on the environment for shelter and for their energy needs. UNHCR provides less than 0.5% of the refugee energy needs. That means these refugees that you're seeing, as many as they are, go to our forest to fetch firewood and for their energy needs. When you're told that refugees get firewood from Fafi, it's not only refugees that are hosted in Hagadera who get their firewood from Fafi. Even those ones from Ifo and Dagahle come to Fafi. This is where the forests are, to get their firewood. And so when we seek for a bigger share of the little portion that we give to refugee support, host community support, sorry, to the two host communities, the more deserving host community is Fafi host community. So Mr. Gee, in the last few years, the UNHCR funding has gone down because of reasons largely attributable to support from the biggest donor, which is the United States. And I think that's largely because of the policy of the Republican president. But now you have a Democratic president who has committed himself to supporting refugees globally. We know that the resources will start flowing to UNHCR, and we expect the resources to equally start flowing to the host community in Fafi sub-county. We'll hold you accountable across the board based on the global standards, based on what's happening regionally, and the kind of resources that are available nationally to supporting refugees, host communities in Fafi constituency. We are aware that the K-Dr.D project is trying to mitigate the impact of refugee presence, but nothing is going to be sufficient in terms of support rendered to us against the kind of support we have rendered to refugees for the last 31 years. It is high, it's really invaluable. Our support to the refugee community and to the UN Refugee Agency is invaluable, and no amount of resources would mitigate the kind of impact we've had. But nonetheless, we request you to help us going forward, and we commit to working with you both at the personal levels as host communities in Fafi and in our official capacities as CEC. The Member of Parliament is here, he'll speak for himself, so that we help our people who have been suffering for 31 years. Asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki.